one another. And we are hoping that following this decision and these developments, teaching and learning will be restored in our universities.
You've been privy to some of the meetings that have been taking place, and it hasn't happened today. It's been work for a while.
Indeed. You will recall that following the proposed hikes by some of the universities, Wits University in particular, we convened a meeting of vice-chancellors and student leaders where we agreed on a capping of 6%, which was a proposal that was to be taken to students. And indeed, students received this proposal from our meeting, which we convened as a department. They rejected the proposal. We then escalated this matter to the office of the president as head of government to then assist us as a department, because even the 6% capping was going to set back universities by 1.3 billion rand, which money we had agreed we must go and find as a department working with the universities. But now with this new decision, universities are going to have to be assisted with an additional 2.7 billion rand, which will help them carry out their academic project. The president has instructed that government working with the universities must find this money, and there must be no fee increment for 2016. We have taken up this responsibility and this instruction given by the president, and we will go and find the money, and we will ensure that all academic projects that must be executed by universities are indeed executed without hindrance.
Deputy Minister, when this figure of 6% came up, who did you discuss this with? Because if the students refused it, were they even privy to those meetings that the 6% figure came up from?
Well, when we discuss these issues and when there is a stalemate in the higher education sector, we consult all stakeholders. Now, students are represented, they get leaders. Our first point of entry when we want to engage with our students would be the student leaders, the leadership that is elected by the students. So invited student leaders, invited university managers or university vice-chancellors. And at that meeting, we discussed all these proposals, and we came to a decision that the capping must sit at 6%, which is below inflation rate. And this was a proposal, Peter. It was to then be taken back to the different constituencies so that they then decide whether they accept or they reject this proposal. The proposal was rejected by the students, and that is when we had to then look at other means to engage with the situation. And our a very last avenue was to meet the president and present this situation to the president, and then get counsel from the president. And the president then decided to convene this meeting of vice-chancellors and again student leaders to now say, now that this proposal of 6% has not been accepted by students, how do we move forward? There's a new proposal from the students themselves that they want a 0% increase for 2016. And the president said, let's go and find the money so that this stalemate can come to some form of conclusion, and we must definitely restore teaching and learning in our universities so that our kids are able to sit for exams and can continue their studies.
Deputy Minister, I think it's fair to say that a lot of students have lost confidence in your department, and I'm just wondering how you're going to try and win them back as a team that they can talk to take the next part of this journey with.
All these strides leading to today's meeting, which was convened by the president, are strides that were advocated by the Department of Higher Education and Training. It is us who actually asked the president to convene a meeting to assist us, because it would seem we have reached a stalemate. So it would be unfortunate for students or for anyone for that matter. Yes, we know that students are still very angry at this moment, and we hope that with this new, development of no fee increment for 2016, the tempers will be down. But we do want to say we have been at the forefront of really trying to find an amicable and a lasting solution to this problem, including asking the president to intervene because we wanted counsel and guidance from the leader of government, because when we reach a stalemate, we have to go to the head of government for counsel and for guidance, and he provided that guidance and that leadership today.
What do you say to students, Deputy Minister, who say that you've not been listening? We've been telling you this for a long, long time, and it's only because we've resorted to this type of action that you've taken action?
You will recall, Peter, that indeed students have been raising the issue of fee increments. But they've been raising the matter with the universities, not with government. Protests were not, students were not, protesting against government. They were protesting against university management, who are the ones who actually decided or who decide on fee increments, not government. Of course, South Africans must also understand that our universities are autonomous. We are not at this stage in a position to regulate fee increments as a government. We are looking at that option now that the meeting sat today and decided that government must be more involved. Government, this issue of institutional autonomy must really be looked at, so that government, because it is government at the end that must come in and intervene in a form of a bailout, in a form of a major intervention such as this one. Yet it is not government that actually decide on these hikes. So we are saying now that there is an agreement as we're sitting on that round table, that let's really look at this matter of institutional autonomy. Let government have a say on these matters. Institutions of higher learning cannot just decide on hikes without consulting government, without government having an opinion on the matter, looking at many other issues, including hikes above the inflation rate. So government is going to be more involved because it is mandated by the vice chancellors sitting in that meeting, and I think vice chancellors equally have had the pressure.
But Deputy Minister,
they were humbled.
But Deputy Minister, didn't you put these universities in this difficult situation by withdrawing or lowering the amount of support that the government was giving them in terms of subsidies?
Indeed, this went down, but universities do have, many universities, of course, let me not talk about our historically disadvantaged institutions. They have third stream income. They get money from donors, from the private sector. They get research funding. And therefore, it is not as though universities do not have the money. Universities have a responsibility to also, collect monies and generate their own revenue. And some of the universities even have reserves. And therefore, it is very difficult to put government, because government cannot be the sole provider of education in the country. The private sector must come on board, and universities must also make creative or ways to try and source funding, so that it does not just become the responsibility of government. Because the truth, Peter, is that the economy is not doing well. The fiscal is very constrained. We have reached a fiscal cliff. As a government, as a country, our economy is not growing at a desirable pace, and therefore we do not have much money to actually subsidize universities in a way that we would actually want to subsidize. So, but we do know, and that is what, by the way, has been raised by the students, that some of the universities have reserved. They have a lot of money. They are not being honest. They are not putting their books on the table so that these books are audited, they are looked at. We see how much is how much is in the account of the university and what can be done.
All
So
right.
I think
Minister, Deputy Minister?
all these efforts have really, we really have to engage with them, and we appreciate and we thank the President for providing leadership, and we will take these resolutions and decisions forward as a department.
Deputy Minister, very final question. What happens next then? Because for them, the journey is to free education at all levels of education in this country. Could we see state universities in the future?
Peter, the decision, which is not the decision of today's meeting, it is a resolution of the ruling party that is governing this nation. We are deployees of the ruling party's government. We have to implement free education. What has been agreed upon today is that as a department, we must now go and sit down and expedite the process of implementing free education in South Africa. So it is not something that we must still go and negotiate or discuss and agree or not agree about. It's something that we must implement, and the instruction from the President to us as a department was go and expedite this so that we are not sitting with this problem next year this time.
All right, Deputy Minister Mduduzi Malana, thank you very much indeed for joining us this evening and sharing your thoughts with us. So a victory for the students, but the Department of Higher Education and Training say that they're very pleased with the outcome as well. He says that they have found each other, and let's see what happens next.